All right then. Before we get started, let's go around and just say who we are, starting with Ernie.
Ernie Chickatelli, Lister.
Sherilyn Bird-Lister.
Ann Smith Lister.
Dave Kreml, member of the Board of Civil Authority.
Justice of Peace.
Suzanne Leiter, Justice of Peace.
Louis Manny, Justice of the Peace, BCA Chair.
Sorry.
Lily Tryman, Town Clerk and BCA Clerk.
Emma Griggs, Select Board Member at Crossing Guard.
Oh, that's right. Jed Baker, Justice of the Peace.
Kristen Day, Justice of the Peace. Emily Shear.
Okay. Did you get the rules of procedure?
Yes.
So you're clear on how this is gonna go and how much time you have, et cetera.
Probably, yes.
Okay. I need you guys for the first time and John to raise your hands. Under the pains and penalties of perjury, do you solemnly swear that the evidence you give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
If you guys would. Okay. And did anybody on the BCA have a conflict with this hearing and you need to recuse yourselves? Whole bunch of no. Okay, John, the floor is yours.
Hold on.
What? Sorry.
Intro.
H.
Oh, sorry, I'll do that.
No, F, actually, I'm sorry, F.
Yes, if you'd be so kind.
I would. Okay, so we are here for the hearing, on parcel ID number 11-038.000. The parcel is located at 276 Bradley Hill Road, two-story colonial dwelling, and 38.9 acres of land for a total listed value of $2,194,200.
Okay. Now it's your turn. Sorry about that.
No worries. And what I've read is really to not recite what's already been delivered in the packet, but maybe just a summary.
Sure.
So we, in our two previous appeals, looked at a market basket of properties, mostly around Bradley and such, and really focused on the value of our house, building itself. And we looked at the dollar per square foot of those properties, which are all in the packet. And then in the second appeal, we focused in on our next door neighbors, which is 228 Bradley Hill Road. And we just looked at what we saw to be some inequalities between the value of that house per square foot versus ours, especially since it's such a good comp. It's built by the same builder, 1 year apart, almost same number of rooms, bedrooms, build costs the same. It goes on and on, but there's a huge difference between the values between the two homes.
Cheryl?
Okay, thank you. So again, for the fact that there's new members of the BCA amongst us, just want to start off by reminding the members that we've had a townwide reappraisal. It has been 9 years since the property values have changed, and therefore it's a huge impact on most of our residents of the town to go through this process and realize the increase in value that has occurred over the last 9 years due to sales, and those have been analyzed in this process by the reappraisal firm, and they've provided those new land tables and building and material cost tables, which have brought everything into the year of 2025. So just to recap to everybody on that. This particular property, we started out with an assessment of $2,396,000 even, and after grievance, the listers reduced the assessment down by $201,800. We have the basis for the appeal in our memo. I'm not going to read through all of this either, but we have looked at the comp that was used and identified that it isn't a comp because of the differences between the type of buildings that we're looking at in this appeal versus the comp used. I don't know, what else do we do there? We resolved during the grievance, we mentioned the data errors, the number of rooms, what have you. And therefore, we're at a point where we believe that the assessment is accurate, and then KRT, reappraisal firm, has provided comps in your packet that provide you with a similar style property and building and age and what have you. And if there's questions on that, we can ask them to Kevin, who is here representing the KRT reappraisal.
Does anybody have questions?
I have a question for Kevin. Can you hear me, Kevin?
Kevin, are you there?
He's not muted.
While we wait to figure that out, I have a question, which is that, contemporaries enjoy different pricing per square foot than colonials. And that's not something you guys control, that's a value that you're given, is that accurate in the property card?
The type of,
Right.
of building is one of the first things you click off, and then you fill in all the other blanks. So yes, they don't all have a different starting point, but several of them do have a different per square foot starting point. So that's important to understand.
My question is twofold then. A, are all contemporaries valued at the same square footage?
They start, yes.
And B, who sets that value?
So again, that would have been, once you click a style of home, that sets the per square footage cost, and we have the basic square footage, yeah, on the calculation summary sheet. So a colonial starts at 185 and
Right.
a contemporary 155. Those were set up in the system, not by the listers.
That's what I'm saying.
KRT?
To our knowledge, I would say yes, they established those square footage numbers.
Anybody else?
Right, and my question is, along those lines as well, because if you look at the last page on the KRT comps, they've got a couple contemporaries thrown in there, so, we're getting a mixed message
You
here.
are, and that's
Yeah.
something I was gonna have Kevin, identify. That's not something I would have done. Or I think any of us would have done. We would have worked with.
Okay.
I allowed to comment.
Just one second,
Similar.
is he responding, Kevin, online at all?
He is
Can you try
muted and unmuted. I did.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there he is. So Kevin, I believe the first question for you is the values that happen when you enter either colonial or contemporary coming in at 185 and 155. Where do those values come from? Did you come up with those? Did the state of Vermont come up with those?
No, your new value is of April 1st of 2025. So your building schedules and your land schedules and your depreciation schedules are all updated as of April 1st of 2025. So we went back
Updated,
2
updated by
years.
whom?
Excuse me?
Updated by who?
By KRT. So we analyzed all the qualified sales that occurred in the last 3 years, just willing buyer and seller in the open marketplace. And then we stratify those sales by location, the amount of land, the style of the home, the age of the home, the condition of the home, quality of construction. Those are your main determinants of value. And then we apply the sale values to all the properties that haven't sold. But individually, each property has its own characteristics.
John, you had a question?
A couple comments on that. The first is looking at recent sales in Norwich. They're actually colonial and contemporary that just sold this summer. Same number of beds, bathrooms, same square footage, 10 acres versus 12 acres, and temporary sold just slightly more than not a 20% mark. Also in the list provided by KRT here, there are indeed contemporary homes, which then I should be able to assess my house against my neighbors, which is a contemporary. And as usual with KRT, there are mistakes. So 1147 Lost Road is also contemporary on property card. Look at the house. So there are actually 3 contemporaries, only 2 colonials. The contemporary is a 1-story, so it's even smaller than my neighbor's 1.5. So I don't see why I should not be allowed to use my neighbors as a comp.
You still have a question?
Well, that was brought up, but also, could you just tell us how, because I look at some of the pictures and I don't find that much difference between a contemporary or a colonial. So how do you define a contemporary?
It's the architectural design. They're more or less so. It's more or less a wash, honestly, when you get to this level of house. Someone that would consider a colonial would probably consider a contemporary. I mean, the taxpayer is comparing 228 and 276, but we've had them, they were built a year apart and we have the same grade on them. The one difference between the two of them is that 228 Bradley Hill is 570 square feet smaller. So it's going to have a smaller value. And if you look at the historical assessment for them for the last couple of years, I mean, it's almost a $500,000 difference between the two before we even commence with the revaluation. So I don't think, the house next door, same quality, it's just a smaller dwelling.
Emily?
Yeah, so is the response then that these 2 houses are comps, but just they differ in value because of the square footage?
Well, that plays a big part into it. I mean, we've got the houses graded the same. They're both B+ grades. They're built a year apart. I mean,
Right, so
the only
lack
other,
of square-
the only other difference is that 228 is on 10 acres and 276 is on 38, but these are in, well, some of 276 is in current use anyway, so.
Well, but the determining factor seems to be the type of home it's been defined as. Whether it's colonial or contemporary. Cheryl?
So I think to Kevin's comments on the type, so if you want to compare something, you need to compare like homes, so you're starting at the same square footage base per square foot. So a contemporary is going to come in lower additionally, it's going to come in lower with less finished square footage. So those are the 2 pieces to the comp that is going to result in a lower assessment by those 2 factors that are being looked at. So I just want to make sure that that is clear. We're talking $30 a square foot on the basic square foot price, lower plus a lower amount of finished square footage and acreage difference. So there are some clear differences to these 2 and not being as much of a comp as you would think, even though they're in the same neighborhood. And the other thought I have is maybe if Kevin can look again to see if 1147 Wallace Road is a contemporary, you just exclude those from his list and look at the colonials he provided.
John?
I just want to be clear, I'm not saying that our property is valued at less than our neighbors. In our argument has all been on the dollar per square foot.
Yeah.
Can I ask about the discrepancy? There's like a 400 square foot discrepancy between the record card and what you say is your square footage. I feel like there must have been an interior inspection. Was that not result? Like, did the site inspection team have to show up with a tape measure? Is what I'm wondering. I guess, Kevin, can you speak to how you determine square footage?
Yeah, in assessment, per the IAAO, universally, all assessment is based on exterior measurements. Obviously, if you have like cathedral area, you cut that out and you cut out sub areas where it's not living area, like an enclosed porch or whatnot. But everything is by, exterior measurement.
So is final square footage determined by livable space? It doesn't include, for instance, a garage or a basement that just has the furnace in it? I'm just trying to educate myself.
That's correct. So where it says, on the sub area on the card, it'll say over in the, right hand area, it says finished area. So, for the subject property, the finished area we have is 3,336 square feet.
It's not final, it's finished.
Yeah. So last two questions, John.
Oh, I can just, so I spoke with Kevin directly and I gave her the guarantee of appeal and I showed him the lot in question, which is above the garage here. That is all unfinished, that was considered finished. Anyone is welcome to come look at it.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Pam had a question.
Yeah, so the 3,336 is a total of the square footage for the first floor, 1,808, plus the second floor, which is 1,528. And it's clear that the unfinished attic is here as an unfinished attic at only $39.11 per square foot. So they have very different values. The first floor is at $195.53, the second floor at $179.89, and then the finished, unfinished attic at $39.11.
And it's not included in the
But it's
square.
not included in that finished area number of 3,336.
Can I just ask Kevin another question?
If it's quick.
Yeah, the upstairs is smaller than the downstairs, and yet it's a colonial, so how do you measure the upstairs?
Smaller here. Yeah,
The upstairs, it's by
And you-
exterior,
How do you measure that from the outside, if you say you measure from the outside?
well, it's exterior measurement, yeah.
So you get on a ladder?
No,
I can answer the
Yeah,
question.
hold on just a sec, Pam.
The second floor is 1,528, the cathedral ceiling is 280. When you add those two together, you get 1,808. So the reason the second floor is less than the first floor is because you have a cathedral ceiling area, so you lose square footage to the cathedral ceiling. So that's where you get to their numbers to balance.
And the houses are measured around the base of the house. The upstairs are added as half stories, full stories, 3/4 stories, so they don't measure those things up there. They're just added as according to their half, 3/4, full floor up above, and that's just added up on top of it.
We need to keep moving.
Just one
Karen,
other, oh, sorry, just one other, point I want to make too is that, the subject property, its location is similar to, Wallace Road. They have the same type of, view amenity. So it's also a colonial built in 2016 with a B+ grade, so that's another reason why I wanted to include Wallace Road.
But isn't that the one that we have a discrepancy on the property type?
Right, it's colonial, it says it's colonial, we think it's contemporary.
Correct, so that's a,
Where did that come? You have it, John? The card? Yeah, the card.
And the card says contemporary.
One story contemporary.
And that's 1147 Wallace.
And it's only 39 square feet, way less for.
Right.
We're out of time. We need to, as part of this, 3 of us come on site to inspect the property.
Okay.
And so we need to set up a time to do that. And Kristen, I'm gonna let you drive that.
hopefully October 1st at either 3 or 4 p.m. Wednesday.
Or we better than this.
That's a Wednesday, so school will tell you.
Right.
Yeah, I can be either 3 or 4.
Do you have is 4 the preference or?
I can be flexible.
Okay, let's go through them. Thanks.
I have to do. So, are you okay with the listers being part of that crowd?
Oh, anyone.
Right. We'll come and we'll measure and we'll take the card around with us as we go. We're gonna recess then to, what date did we decide on for this one?
Thanks.
The 6th?
No,
no, hold on. Hearing number one, hearing, oh, so the 21st of October at 5 is when we will come back to receive the reports that are about the inspections. Last minute questions, and then we will recess and go into deliberations after the fact. You're not required to attend the second one, but you're certainly welcome to.
Oh, okay.
So that's at 5 on the 21st of October. And at this point, we will recess until then.
inspection is 3 p.m. for October 1st.
Yes.
3 p.m. Okay.
Mhm. And that's Kristen, myself, and Dave. No. Keith.
Okay.
You're the other group.
You guys are in the second group.
Have you guys already
Yeah.
signed up for it? I missed the thing about who's going to which inspection.
Right, so, what I'm doing is, prior to these meetings,
Yeah,
I'm looking at who's able to come to which hearing,
yeah,
and beforehand, just assigning groups of 3 to go and do inspections. So if you didn't get hit up this time, you'll get hit up next time.
But please also know that you are welcome to attend
Right,
any
absolutely.
inspection.
then it sounds like the inspection scheduling is a separate thing, so when we do that.
So,
We can adjust times, because for example, like this one I could go to, that wouldn't always be the case, so if I'm signed up to do.
so how this is working is, we broke up into 3s,
Yeah,
so
okay.
pre-assigned groups, and then the 3 of us in a sidebar
Yeah.
said, what's
okay.
your schedule look like? When are you
Perfect,
available to
okay.
go inspect? And then
Okay.
we went on our schedule. So you guys will do that when you're
Got it.
included in the
I'm
3.
taking care of
But
it.
I'm not part of that because I usually agree that. But
If you didn't get an email, you could have gotten an email that said, for me,
yes,
about attending tonight
yes,
and whether or not you were an inspector.
and in the email said like,
Okay, so that just means that your crew hasn't spoken about your schedule yet, which you might want to do
yeah,
now, so that
Right this second.
in the second 2,
you're not. on.
you're, this time around, you're off the hook,
Okay,
which is great, right? It just
okay,
means-
that's great, it's just one.
Believe me, you'll get to do it, don't you
I
worry.
hear, I'm worried about rescheduling, times are a little.
John, we're all done unless,
Yeah, you don't.
and we'll see you on the.
Notice the cars. So,
That is now, we're recessed, so
okay.
that.
They also, they have the wrong.
The way that
Yeah.
When the site inspectors are there, they will walk through with a property record card
In our hand.
in their hands, and they will look at everything.
Okay. And the back of that submitted has.
Okay.
Right. Well, good. Thank you, Beth. What I'm trying to do, Emily, is get everybody involved and have everybody at some point write a report. So that it's not
Yeah, no.
falling on the same 3 people several times.
We should check.
Yeah.
It's good, I just wanted to not have been, yeah,
I'm,
I think I.
Thank you.
I'm worried about the scheduling, so if there, but it
Yeah.
seems like you're accommodating schedules if there's an inspection and then the follow-up.
Yes. So whatever group you get thrown into, you'll just have a sidebar with those 2. We happen to do it ahead of time and these guys
This is
didn't.
right in town,
Okay.
not to go with these.
And you were part of that email. Well, Lily sent us examples that make it really
Now and then.
Yeah, we should.
You were.
What point, I mean,
Sometimes.
examples maybe last year, but.
Okay, well, I can send them to you.
Right.
But let's.
I'm able to send them to the people on
I don't
the
know.
site
Yeah,
inspection.
whenever
That's
there's
fine.
a.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work remotely.
Not to worry, you'll get it.
James, you can come sit up here at the appellant table.
We'll get started in about 5 minutes.
So like, yeah. 3, 4, 4.
Okay.
Wednesday.
Okay. What do
should we have like still?
Yeah. So we're trying to figure out, when do you have constraints? If we aim for 4 o'clock.
Lily Tryman, town clerk and BCA clerk.
Emo Griggs, member of the select board. Beth Baker, justice of the peace.
Chris Maffei, Justice of the Peace. Someone here, Justice of the Peace.
And we have Kevin Lean on Zoom, who's from KRT, to answer questions as needed, so he's on the computer here. We're going to open this hearing, which is, excuse me, the McTaggart property, which is parcel ID 16-012.100. James, I need you to raise your hand to take an oath, which is, under the pains and penalties of perjury, do you solemnly swear that the evidence you give and the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you, and if you'd sign that form, that would be great. Did you receive the rules and procedures and understand how this process is going to work? Okay, so you're gonna get 5 minutes to present your case. The listers are gonna get 5 minutes to present their case. We're gonna have 5 minutes to ask questions, and then we will continue. Okay? Does anybody here have any questions about this property that requires you to recuse yourself? No. Cheryl, would you like to introduce the property?
Yes, I will do that. This appeal is for parcel ID 16012100. It is located at 71 Upper Loveland Road. It's a one-story ranch-style dwelling on 1.06 acres with a total assessed value of $359,800.
The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. My reason for concern is basically the comparables in the houses next to me. The one house on the number 55 is valued at $253, which was an increase of 47%. Mine is now $359, which is an increase of almost 63%. And the one to higher, as you look at it to the right, is valued at $279, and that only went up 16% from the value. So when I looked at it from the comparable point of view, I just didn't see the fairness in that. And that if we would try to sell it, I would think that the comparables would be the most, the houses to the sides. The one to the one side that went up only 16% is very comparable to ours, because they're only like 0.03 less land than ours. And housing very similar, built on some time, I believe. The other thing that we have against us is we're right on the highway, so we have a lot of noise from the highway. Several years ago, they put trees in, but they didn't put trees in front of our house at all to protect us from the noise. So we have that as a problem. The land itself is like, it's on a slope, so there's nothing we can really do for instructions there or whatnot. There are concerns for us, and plus the slope of it is more of a winter issue, I guess, for ourselves for plowing and calling AAA to get out of that. There is basically the house. If you go to the deck, just beyond the deck is where the woods are, a lot of the land. So there's nothing that we can really put in that land at all if we wouldn't try to put anything on that land. And it goes right up against it, and those are my basic concerns.
Thank you. Cheryl?
Okay. In our memo, we've got the highlights of what we want the BCA to know, and just to emphasize from the one comp that was listed at 81 Upper Loveland Road, some of the distinguishing factors are that the appellant has a ranch, again, at 180 for a basic square foot. The neighbor has a split entry coming in at $100 a square foot. That's an $80 per square foot difference to start from. So that would result in a lower assessment if everything was equal. There are on the back side of the property record cards, we highlighted the location reduction for the comment made about the location of the property. And on the front, you'll see under the land tables, there are topography adjustments, and in essence, the two, 71 and 81, are exactly the same. By a whisker, they're off because there's a whisker more property on 81 than there is on, 71 than there is on 81. So those are the distinguishing factors there with regard to the comp that was used. Any more thoughts?
Also on the depreciation,
Oh, yes, the year of the house.
one house built in 1991, the depreciation is 17%, and the other one was built in 1976 with depreciation of 24%. So that makes the dwelling at 81 for fund. Coming at a lower value because of the age and the depreciation.
Yep.
Questions?
Since everyone has a garage and other lean-tos and sheds and a bunch of other buildings in the yard, what we don't have anymore.
Emily?
So am I hearing then that the primary reason being given for the difference is the style and the depreciation?
Yes, the basic square footage is $80 per square foot less on the comp. And the comp is older, so the depreciation is higher. So that accounts for a good part of the difference.
Other questions? Kim?
I just had a question, generally, the difference in per square footage by style, is that borne out by sales?
Yes, that was the explanation Kevin gave on the last hearing.
And that's for Norwich or
That was
just
based
general?
on the sales analysis that they did.
Kevin, are you hearing this?
Yeah, that's correct, yep. We,
When you came up with these, values per square foot by house style, was that Norwich sales, Upper Valley sales, state of Vermont?
strictly Norwich.
Okay.
Yeah, all your qualified sales for the last 3 years are Norwich for residential.
Thanks.
And
Absolutely.
you've got the list that Kevin and Karen. right?
Other questions? Okay. James, to finish your appeal, 3 BCA board members need to come to your property and inspect your house, and we'll bring a property card with us and walk around and compare the card to what we see. We need to schedule that with you.
Too late to ask one more question.
Let's schedule it. You can ask your question. Kristen, do you wanna?
Are you available Wednesday, October 1st at 4 p.m.? It's next Wednesday.
Next month, I can't do that's, is that the only time you can do it?
That'd be ideal for us. We can also do 4 p.m. Thursday or Friday.
Thursday would be better.
Is that okay with you guys?
I think so. Let me just double check before I put my foot in my mouth.
So we've got 10 to,
We're talking about the
10
second.
to at 4 p.m.
Yes, then we have to school down here by 5. Can you do it earlier on the Thursday, either of you guys? Could we do it at 3:30?
That's,
That's fine with you?
sure.
Kristen
I
and
can do
Kimo?
3:30.
That
Never
would
come.
work better for getting back here.
That's on October
So October 2nd at 3:30 p.m.
Yeah. Okay, are you fine with that?
Good.
Okay, so we'll show up, there'll be 3 of us and probably some of these guys all tromping around in your house with tape measures and clipboards. Lily, you had a question?
I think this is a Kevin question. The topo adjustment on the house site, are you allowed to break that house site up into smaller units than an acre, or is that just what it is?
On the,
In general,
Like, if you have a house site that half an acre is flat and half an acre is a cliff, can you topo adjust half of the 1 acre house site and not the other half acre?
of course,
Cheryl has a response to that.
If you're asking about the land tables on the property record card being listed, or of those lines being listed, it's not typical to list the first 2 acres other than 2 line items. The first acre is the primary house site acre, and whatever's left over is the next line item, and that's the additional site So to break that down further would not be what is typically done. I don't know what Kevin is thinking about, but maybe he could educate us. I would be
Well, if you,
cautious.
I thought the question was, can you, are you when you're talking, you can make, you can make an adjustment, you know, for topography or an easement or what have you to that 1 acre.
Okay, so if there was
That's how
half
you-
flat and half a cliff, and half was completely unusable in my hypothetical situation because it was a cliff, that would be minus 100 topo. But the flat part would be minus 0, and it would average out to minus 50.
No, it was. Nothing's ever put in at 0. It's always put in at 10% of market value because, you know, it always has value no matter what. It's just, you know, whether it has utility or not is a point, but if it has almost no utility, generally you're gonna put it in at 10% of market value, but you can make a topography adjustments on the primary site if if you just have a 1 acre site and 50% of that site is, or 30% of the site is wet, then you would make an adjustment, but it tends to be subjective because you do have a building. It is a building site, so you're not necessarily going to take 50% off, even though half that acre is wet, because you still have a building on there. So there is some subjectivity to it.
Answer your question. Yeah, good.
Just want to make sure I'm understanding this. In 2023, this house and the house next to it were the same. The building value was basically the same. I'm getting that off the letter. 16-012-100 and 16-012-200. I'm assuming that's
Yeah.
Stephanie.
We got those cards, yes, and your question was?
Oh, my question is the reason that one went up and one went down a factor of the depreciation that you mentioned earlier? Yeah, like I said, in 16, one of the houses was at 239, the house was 221. And that one went up to 279, the last one went to 239.
It could also have been, like, I don't know, if a ranch suddenly became much more valuable than a
Like if the numbers of values.
split
the
level.
value changed.
Kevin,
Yep,
are you there?
yep.
The values, by house type, again, we're talking about the square footage where you start, when you say something is contemporary versus split level versus colonial versus what have you. Are those all new values established this year by you guys?
That's correct.
Okay,
And
and
were they established last year, or last
Like,
cycle?
yeah.
Black Label was 9 years ago.
right,
Yeah,
so
they did the same process.
KRT wasn't our assessor then.
The assessors that did that exist then too? Like the basis of this being price per square foot set by, you guys would know this. The house style, price per square foot is like the starting point of determining values. Did that exist, and did those values get estimated in a similar way in the 9 year ago?
The 2016 reappraisal,
Yes.
right, so there was a 2013, reappraisal that occurred, 9, 10, some odd years after the last one before that, which was, I think,
Yeah.
2004 or something. So that really established, in my understanding, the cost tables at that point in 2013. How much that varied over the next 3 years to the 2016 reappraisal
Mhm,
probably didn't change a lot by that appraisal firm,
mhm,
because they had done both of them in a row. So
mhm.
my thinking is, I mean, they may have changed some of the cost tables. I would think in order to be accepted by the state of Vermont, the reappraisal had to do a sales analysis again to be accepted by the state. And that there probably was some driving factors from the 3 years of sales that bumped those again a bit. But whether they used, so Kevin was saying they reestablished the cost tables for the different top styles of houses. They established the cost tables back then. It could have been a different structure of cost tables
Okay.
for a split entry versus a ranch versus the cave. They may not have been so diverse. They may have been. And I don't have, I mean, we could find those tables, but that might be what's causing some of this
Okay.
change.
And just to be clear, like, the square footage of our house, my house is 1288, while the square footage of the other house is 1608. So, I mean, I can't do the math right now, but.
Yeah.
But the per square foot is gonna
Be different.
right, eat that up.
My house, right?
Kevin, I have another question for you, which is, do you have any idea what percentage of houses that you guys assessed where you changed the style of the house from a contemporary to colonial, or if every house remained the same unless you had never, unless it was new construction?
If we think the style of the home is incorrect, we would change it.
But you don't have an idea of how many of those might have happened. We'd have to go back to 2016 to see what it was previously to compare.
Well, we turned over all the data collection, the field reviews, so the town's in possession of all that. So any changes we would have been made will be, clearly noted.
Other questions, anyone? Okay, so we're gonna come out, James, and inspect your property, and then we are gonna reconvene on Tuesday, the 21st of October at 5:30. At which point we're going to receive the inspection report from whoever came out. You'll have a chance to say one more thing, and then we will go into deliberation, which will exclude you and the listers and just be us.
So I'm here, I should be here on the 21st as well, is that what you're saying?
At 5:30, you're not required to be here at that one, but you're welcome to be.
Okay. Thank you.
And that is it, we are recessed until the next hearing.
Thank you.
Turn those lights back on out there.
I'll go turn them back on. Kristen and Suzanne.
River Hydro said they had their inspection on Thursday and they'd like to reschedule.
Really, it's a
I really just scheduled for last inspection for us, so.
I mean, it makes sense to pull the two there, but, I would think it was more, and this is just me peeking, I don't have a clue, but to me it would be more about the grade of the house. If this is an A-grade house, I really don't care what style it is. It gets this square footage, and if it's this style house and it's grade D, it gets this square footage, but, I don't know.
Which is not that many.
I don't understand how a property gets assessed,
Yeah.
so it's not for me to say. That is confusing, because it's clearly making a huge difference for some of these values. Significant.
I thought it would be mine.
Right, but this one in particular, that's.
And I understand why people would be like, I don't understand this.
Oh.
Is that what it is?
It's being recorded.
Oh, there's.
Yes.
There's also the finance.
So, yeah, take that back.
No, but one on the record, then having a good
Yeah.
Sincere justice of the peace. I'm just introducing myself, sorry, no, it's okay. I'm Emily Shear, justice of the peace. So,
Okay, I'm Kristen Maffei, Justice of the Peace.
Jeff Baker, Justice of the Peace.
Emo Griggs, member of the select board,
And
and crossing guard.
Dustin.
Lily Tryman, town clerk and BCA clerk.
Elise Manny, Justice of the Peace, BCA Chair.
Suzanne Leiter, Justice of the Peace.
Dave Kreml, Justice of the Peace.
Pam Smith, Lister.
Cheryl Lindbergh, Lister.
And Ernie, you could tell me this.
Kelly Chrissy, I'm just doing a favor for Veronica Rassias, asked me to present a pretty simple.
Okay, this hearing is for. Sorry. Okay, so we're starting a hearing on the Rassias property, which is parcel 16-032.1. And I'm gonna ask you to raise your hand and take an oath. Under the pains and penalties of perjury, do you solemnly swear that the evidence you give and the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth? If you'd be so kind as to sign that form.
With your signature?
Yes, a signature and a printed name. Did Veronica share the rules and procedures with you? Okay, so you'll have 5 minutes, the listers will have 5 minutes, we'll have questions.
I brought, the 10 copies, I didn't know how many to bring, I brought 10, so no.
That's fine.
Would you like me to pass that out first?
Sure. Does anybody on the BCA have a conflict of interest and need to recuse themselves? No. Sarah, would you like to introduce the property?
I will. Yes, there's, again, is parcel ID 16-032.100. The parcel is located at 81 Cliff Street. It's a 2-story contemporary style dwelling on 0.59 acres. And the 2025 grand assessed value at this point is $576,300.
The floor is yours.
The floor is mine. I'm simply presenting, a request for a reduction in the assessed value of the land itself. There is no question at all about the building, the wall came down, the building, and that seems more than fair. It's simply the land itself. So what we've done is we've looked at 1, 2, 3, 4 other Cliff Street properties and took the per acre price that they're now assessed at. And at the bottom in bold, there's simply what the 81 Cliff Street parcel would be if the same per acre price were used for it that is used for 75, 11, 48, and 31. The other thing that I think is important to consider is that 75 and 81 were, since I don't know when, but a significant amount of time the same parcel. They were divided into, originally it would have been 3 and then became 2 pieces. So I think that we both think that is the fairest price to consider cost of the land itself, because it was always one, it always had a single assessment. That's all I have to say. At the bottom, I guess I should read this out, but
You don't have to read it out. We can,
You can read
unless it says
That's-
something beyond what you're telling us.
That's the whole point, and the bottom 4 paragraphs simply outline why that land is not as valuable as
Okay.
the property. Here. Mainly because it's not flat, it's been built on ledge, the land doesn't perk, and there's a literally setting heights that have to be there, she tried every other
Gotcha.
possible orientation.
Okay.
Well, you don't have time.
No, you're good. You're fine. Thank you. Cheryl?
Yes, thank you. So we want to point to our memo that we start, back at the beginning under the proposed, assessment. At the time, the booklet came out of 710,100. After that informal hearing, there was a reduction made. And then there was a grievance to the listers, and that grievance was heard, and the assessment was reduced yet again. So this property has already received $133,800 reduction from the initial proposed assessment. We understand the concerns of the appellant on the property, which at the time we had received the appeal was focusing on the structure as well. So we, again, went over the pieces of the structure that we thought was important to recap as well, and we put that in our memo. As far as the land values go, they are on the property record cards. Looking at the sheet that we just got handed to us, the number under 31 Cliff Street is incorrect. The land assessment for that is 267,900. And we were just verifying before our turn the other listings to make sure that those were, what is on the.
That's instead of 146.
Please do, I thought I had read the current, online, listeners. Sheet, but incorrect.
Correct. Well, we're looking at the cards of the ones that were used as comps, and just wanting to point out that that is not a correct number of 140,600. It's 267,900.
Okay.
In this part of town, all of these properties are on small pieces of land, and we all start with the $140,000 unit price. There's a neighborhood influence that's assigned to all of them, and that's developed by KRT being in the downtown Norwich area, walkable to town, and I'm gonna make those highlights from the location of the property, and here you have a listing of comps from KRT that again have a mixture on them. And my suggestion is you want to stay with the style, a two-story contemporary, then just ignore the colonial in that list and work on the contemporaries only. This is, again, a much newer home than any of the others being used as a comp. This house was built, very recently.
Yeah, it says 21.
Yeah, and then the last thing is, one of the comps with regard to the original appeal to the Board of Civil Authority mentioned 75 Cliff Street. And our research and review of the appeal and our response, we've determined that 75 Cliff Street is incorrectly categorized back to the style of house. Somehow it got switched this year from a cape to a rustic can. So to point out to you that it is in the select board packet, and this is an error on that property record card, so the assessed value is too low, and it's being corrected. So those are our highlights.
I did notice that. I didn't know what that, how that actually factored any of this. And so that's in consideration still.
Madam Chair, are you?
Sorry.
No, you're fine, but to answer the question, it's that correction is going before the select board, so it's not on a property card at this time, right?
It's not on a card at this time. It would go to the select board, be corrected through a motion of the select board tomorrow night, hopefully, and then we'll get the new card established and a new tax bill and et cetera. Yep.
I'm going to ask a question first, if you don't mind. What is the base price that you start with on Cliff Street? So you said on 31 Cliff Street, it's 267,900.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
You said each property starts with a base price value of some kind.
Right, you'll see it on the land records that it starts at 140,000 an acre in downtown. Well, I think that is the sort of the downtown, but it's the
140 is the base throughout town, but then different neighborhoods have different neighborhood influences.
influences.
And so the downtown has a 2.5 influence, which makes acreage in the downtown area at $350,000 per acre.
Is where you start. And then it
Yes.
either goes up or down depending on that piece of
Right,
property.
and KRT has a schedule of, partial acres that, maybe Kevin can explain how they determined that a third of an acre would be 267.9 and not 1/3 of 350.
Okay,
If you want that explanation, that would be something Kevin would help with.
okay. Kevin, can you answer that?
Yep, so, just analyzing the sales, um, the most valuable land obviously is within the village, so Village One, I think, the first, I think the first acre in Village is, like 324, 500, something around there. I don't have the land schedule right in front of me, but, so that's obviously the most valuable, that's the most, valuable, neighborhood, in terms of assessment, and then the prices change for the other neighborhoods within the town, so, your
And
average,
it's,
the most sales we had would be in, rural average, RA neighborhood, so your most sales are in that neighborhood, so that becomes the, starting point for, building the land curve, and then from there, you just analyze the sales, and the sales they'll take you where you wanna go, so, you take the sale price, you minus the building improvements, what's left over is the land value, and that's how you build your land curve if you have an insufficient supply of land sales.
Okay, so is it not the case, so what I just heard now, it sounds like the land is not the basis of the value, so we can't do something like multiply 325, 500, because this property is under an acre by 0.59 acres. What you do instead is take the total sale, price it.
Well, there's a
subtract
land,
it.
there's a land curve, so as the,
I don't know what a land curve is.
well, let's ask a more specific question. On this particular property, the per acre value, their land assessment is 299.8. So where did that value come from?
the 299.8, well, it'll come from the, it derived from the sales, whatever sold downtown in, Village One, in V1.
Okay, so I think I have a direct question. What's the price per acre for that village? All of these houses are in that village. It sounds like it's stepped by acre, but for anything that's less than an acre, is there a standard per acre land price?
Yeah, if I, let me see if I can, just grab the land schedule if you have a minute.
Do you have a question for somebody else in between while he's looking?
I wanna see if I can help or not, I don't know, but yeah, if you've got 0.33 of an acre, or in her case, 0.59.
Yeah,
So your 140, you would think would be multiplied by 0.59, which it is, but then it's influenced by other factors being in the downtown neighborhood, so that 2.5, so you come across getting a higher assessment as you multiply across that line.
yes, so my question, you're getting closer to answering it. I heard that for the first acre in this particular village was, he thinks 325, 500 per acre.
It's 350.
350
350,000, so you would
per
think
acre.
that if it's a half acre, it would be 175, but that is not how the land table was developed. It was
So, but-
developed
Okay,
using a curve and the sales that happen in the downtown area. So
Okay.
you can't do basic math and say a half acre is 1/2 of 350.
Okay.
It's based on other factors that went into their sales analysis.
okay, and it can be more than that, because what this
It is
does,
always more
it's
than that.
always more when it's less. If this is the 350.
the bigger
Less is.
per square.
So it's not a per square foot price.
Right.
I got it.
Can you think of it as there is an initial price for having this bloop of land in Norwich, which is some tens of thousands of dollars because it's
Yeah.
Norwich.
Yeah,
And then on top of that, you have to apply some land
Yeah.
table.
I get that, but it's just, so it sounds like, cause per acre, this does seem not consistent, but what the answer to that seems to be is it's not priced per acre at all, even though they're in the same.
So it should be 206,000. A straight multiplication from 350 times 0.59.
Although I just heard it's always more.
Probably, if you broke out of all these properties, the value of being in town, the value of having town water, the value of having, safety and things like that all next to you. Started there. And added, the price per acre to it. It probably would be a straight line.
But I don't, but these
But-
are all in the same, I guess what's getting me, cause I hear you, it sounds like where you are in town has a big influence. These are within feet of each other.
Right.
So that's what's sort of getting me, there isn't like a calculation that we can do that.
Well,
makes
it might be
make sense.
worth, say, $200,000 just to be in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so $200,000 plus whatever acreage you have would give you the price.
Right, so it's not a difference of,
Larger.
it's not like 300 to 350, it's 100 to 100 under that. Or,
Yeah, it says 500 per acre is the calculation, it's higher than all these others, they seem quite similar, that's what's getting me. Okay.
Yeah. it
Uh,
was-
I have the schedule right in front of me. So for, Village One is V1, so 1 acre would be at 350,000, and then 9/10 of an acre would be 337,750, 8/10 of an acre, 325,500, 7/10 of an acre, 313,250, 6/10 of an acre, 301,000, 5/10 of an acre, 288,750, 4/10 of an acre, 276,500, 3/10 of an acre, 264,250, 2/10 of an acre, 252.
I
And
think we
then,
got it.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any
No
more
land
questions? We
developments.
should get to the scheduling end of things.
And I just wanna remind everybody, these tables affect all of us.
Oh, yeah.
This is not unique, this is all over town, that this has been implemented.
Yeah,
And please don't lose sight of that, because a change in one location is inconsistent with what everybody else is being assessed at, so.
I just wanna understand it, if it
Sure.
makes sense, that's fine, I just wanna know the rule by which to understand, cause it didn't seem like per acre. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
I get it, there's,
I do have one question. Is all of downtown one area, or is Cook Street different than Jones Court, which is different than Hazen Street?
It's all Village One, if it's
Okay.
in the village proper, and that's at the 350. And then you have Village Two, which is walkable to the village, but not, or, easily accessible,
Like
but
Huntley
not
Street.
directly into the village.
Is Huntley Street Village too? I'm just trying to understand.
I'd have to look, to be honest, I can't tell you.
It might be that it's, a little further up Turnpike.
Yeah.
Or a little bit further out Beaver Meadow, however, that Village Two got distinguished.
It might be over on Hobson Road, since the, what we would consider the right village, village proper.
And if there happened to be a view, would that be added on top of the?
Yes.
Yes, that would be.
Okay,
It would,
okay. All right.
Oh, to the acreage value.
Yes, correct.
yes, the view affects the acreage value.
Okay. What an education. To continue this appeal, 3 of us need to come to the property and inspect the property. We bring property cards and we compare bedrooms, that, all of it. Excuse me. So we need to set a date and time to do that. I don't know if you're able to do that for Veronica or.
I don't even know about it.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to come to a date and hope that she can be there. I don't know if you ever. Okay, so do you guys have a proposed?
Yes, October 1st, Wednesday, so it's a week from tomorrow at 4 p.m. And it involves, going inside the house also.
Inside and outside.
At 4 p.m. you said?
Yes.
I can do it, whether she can or not, so that's the yard.
There will be three of us and one or two listers as well, and we'll all tromp around with our clipboards. After that, we are gonna meet again on, October 21st at 6, at which point we're gonna receive the reports from the group that inspected. You'll have one more opportunity to say something, then we will recess and we'll go into deliberations, which is minus you and minus the listers. You're not required to come to the second hearing, but you're welcome to.
You do this for every property that is.
Yes, we do. And so that's the 21st of October at 6 o'clock.
And then we'll be here.
Correct.
Thank you.
Although we did these in error. Can you hold on just a sec? Because we want to do those boom, 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 and then deliberate all at the same time. So if we do those, 15 minutes, okay.
Slot her in at, 5:15.
5:30, because it was one in
Or
between.
we've got one at 5:30. We have to look around. We've already recessed the first.
Right. Okay, so let's say 5:15 rather than 6.
On the October.
Yes.
21.
On the 21st.
Correct. We're gonna hear, all the reports in 15-minute segments and then
Deliberate and.
shut the doors and deliberate on all of them at the end. Otherwise, that won't make sense. Okay, we are recessed until the 21st. Thank you.
We're here.
See you at on the first.
15-minute segments,
Yes.
but we're setting up half hour.
Well, we should back up. We,
Gonna do them out of it.
Oh, okay.
In fact,
So the last one, 5:45.
Last week we set
First
them
group
up
is
for half
gonna be
hour.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Last meeting, we also set them up for half hour.
We did, and then
And we're
we
going to
regrouped
consider-
and went, oops, because we wanted to deliberate them all at the end and not meet, deliberate.
That just was, I'm gonna give you one and meeting.
Yeah.
That's the first time.
This is all education.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm flexible. If you're in. There's, village residential, and the only village residential too is this little area over here. No, it's up there, this is Church Street.
Oh, that's down.
Yeah.
here, so that's that whole place.
Huh. What's the purple in the middle of the middle?
Business district?
The downtown.
That's the business district, okay. Business.
And, I think it's here it is, this is commercial.
Here's my teeny little rural resident. Hold on. Sorry.
Say justice and peace.
Jed Baker, Justice of the Peace.
Gimmo Griggs, member of the select board and crossing guard.
Lily Tryman, town clerk and BCA clerk.
Elise Manny, Justice of the Peace, BCA Chair.
Suzanne Ryder, Justice of the Peace.
Dave Kreml, Justice of the Peace.
Pam Smith, Lister.
Cheryl Lindbergh, Lister.
Very true to tell my wisdom. Kirk Williams, homeowner. My wife has been having back spasms for the past week, so
Isn't she lucky?
she is laid up and not able to be here.
Okay.
Problem with trying to pick things up off the floor, actually trying to sit.
We're gonna open this hearing, which is the Williamson appeal based on parcel 09-035.3. If you'd be kind enough to raise your hand. Under the pains and penalties of perjury, do you solemnly swear that the evidence you give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth? And if you would sign that form.
All 3 times?
No, just once.
Just the top, okay.
We never know how many appellants we're going to get.
Did you see the rules of procedure so you know how this works? 5
Yes.
minutes for you, 5 minutes for the listeners, questions from us. Does anybody here have a conflict of interest and need to recuse themselves? Cheryl, would you like to introduce the property?
I will, thank you. This is again parcel ID number 09-035-300. It is a parcel located at 1415 Beaver Meadow Road. It has a 2-story colonial style dwelling on 6.3 acres of land, and its assessed value is $658,000.
The floor is yours.
The assessed value, we believe, is incorrect. I think, I'll focus on the issues with the property, why I would take that, but I think there's also systematic errors or approach taken that, ends up treating us unfairly compared to some other houses. If I have time, I'll touch on that at the end. I think the house, we've had 3 separate numbers. We're down to the 658 number. We still feel it's incorrect. At the Lister appeal, it does appear that some of the issues around increasing the amount of depreciation in the property was led to an adjustment, as well as an adjustment as to the grade factor. But we still feel that the 658 is too high for the property. One of the things that's not taken into account, and I think causes a lot of the issues with value of the home on the sale market, is the driveway. It's quite notorious. It is, if Google Earth is right, it's about 110 yards long. It is paved, but it's incredibly steep. There has been degrading of it over time, where I've been trying to make fixes on that, but the estimates to repair it or even repave it at this point are in tens of thousands of dollars. My wife has spoken to multiple paving companies about it. Judging from the fact there's at least one old culvert remnant that was thrown in the front woods by our private owner, there was some attempt to repair part of the driveway at one time. Prior to us owning it, I've made some patches, but we're still in a situation where it's tens of thousands of dollars before that would need to get it up. We thank the driveway for much as it's the bane of my wife's existence in particular, because without it, we wouldn't have been able to afford to be in the home. We were outbid at the, when we bought it prior. People who had under contract or walked away at inspection based off of what we were told, because family members told them, you can't buy that with that driveway. Our home inspector at the time told us it would probably be $100,000 to repair and address it properly. in addition to the steepness, there is a drop off on one side. I actually had somebody drive up the driveway this weekend because he was asking whether or not the tree stump in the front woods was available for him to cut. And he immediately opened with, your driveway gives me vertigo. We purchased in 2016, after the other people walked away. The assessment in 2016 that had been done, the appraised value was in the low 400s. Because Vermont law says that a recent arm's length transaction is the appropriate fair market value, we appealed and the amount was lowered to the value of $355. If we assume that, you know, that for, I think it was roughly $410, $10,000 assessment would have been the value absent the issues with the home, we were being appraised by about 15% at the time. And I think that continues to be an ongoing issue with the property's value on the market. There are a number of home issues with the home that gradually over time we've been trying to address. Those are covered a lot, I think, in the materials that were provided, so I won't rehash that. We strongly feel that the valuation that should be followed is based off the comps that we've got in our materials. The listers in their response indicated they do not agree that those are comps, primarily based upon a lot of them being different style home, a ranch versus a colonial. I had never heard of a ranch necessarily being of a lower value than a colonial, especially in a community where a lot of older people live and want single level living. The home in particular that we think is the closest match is the 324 Hobson Road. It's got, even though it's in town or very close to town, it has 5.5 acres. The age of the house is slightly older, but is not, it's relatively safe in terms of square foot and the like. One of the things that the listers mentioned as being a problem with many of our comps is they have not been in those homes. I would just point out, however, KRT generated, I think, 4 of the 5 or 6 comps that were then in their packet. I would have you note, in only one of those had KRT been in those homes. So if we're rejecting our comps for lack of visual eyes on, those comps probably should be all rejected for the same thing. The reason those are being used as comps are that they're colonials and relatively similar size and age. However, even if we look at the particulars of those comps that were provided, most of them in the last assessment were 30 to 50% higher value than we were. So if we are taking them as comps and saying, you know what, the last assessment was accurate, our current assessments are accurate, then those, if we're saying those are actually valid comps, our house should be 30 to 50% lower than those. A lot of them also, in terms of not having eyes on, you can see mentioned in a lot of those comps that there are mini splits. These are, I guess, validated by the outside appearance of mini splits. The Hobson Road that we think is a very good comp to our also states mini split. This would indicate, unlike our house, that they have had recent upgrades to their heating systems. We have had no such thing around the original heat, septic, well, roof. That Hobson house is also an updated roof. Why we think that's such a good comp, I would just say, is it sold for $1,000 more than our house the year before we bought ours. So it has a sale history on top of everything else that is very similar to ours. And I'm guessing from your expression, I'm over the finance.
Thank you.
Sure.
Cheryl.
Thank you. Yes, okay, so our memo highlights the different comps that were mentioned and the reasons, again, why we are disagreeing as to those being a comp. Without validating a property record card data by an interior inspection, you can't rely on the full assessment of the dwelling. It is something that you have to be cautious about because we all know during COVID, a A lot of work got done on interiors of homes that did not get, need a permit. People can do it as long as they don't change their square footage. So that a lot of work can be done inside that is not captured during a reappraisal. And without that, we're, not confident in how to be able to compare, as we mentioned. And the different years on a home that we mentioned in earlier hearings, the year it was built is important to factor into your consideration, but therefore the depreciation, on each of those homes. And, the assessed value that has been on this property has been back since the, as was mentioned, since the last reappraisal, which was the sale price used, and it's enjoyed that value ever since. And has not had a change to that. Again, it might have been, it was a decision of the BCA back in 2017, that change. If Kevin wants to speak to the comps that are listed here, and I can't tell you, we did not take time to look and see if any of these did have interior inspections or not. We weren't able to do that. We can certainly provide that, but I will note again for your history, this property started at $822,700 through an informal hearing and an inspection from that, and the grievances, it's been lowered by $164,700 to date. And we don't use commercial properties as comps for residential.
I would also like to note that, some of the comps, either have a carport or no garage at all, and the subject property does have an attached two-car garage. So that accounts for some of the difference between the subject property and the comps provided.
Kevin, do you have any comment?
Well, the comparables I provided, I mean, the range, the grade of the age of the home, the grade of the home, square footage, everything's within range. So if you look at the subject property in relation to these properties, it certainly appears to be fair and equitable. The subject property does have a 10% reduction for topography on the primary site. 127 Chapel Hill, it also has a 5% reduction for topo on the first landline. 31 Hawk Pine Road has a 5% reduction for an easement. And Union Village Road has rear topo, and 262 Hawk Pine also has rear topo. So, some of these properties have maybe not to the degree of the subject, but they do have some topo issues. So again, taking everything into account here, it certainly looks like it's a fair and equitable assessment.
Questions, Dave?
Can I just verify, did the listers get to see the interior of this property?
No, the KRT, if you look at the property record card, you'll see activity information. During, at one point, there's mentioned an interior refusal, but then when the informal hearings occurred, there was the opportunity to do an interior inspection at that point. So that got done by KRT, not the listers.
Okay, so it was done by KRT.
Yeah.
But I will just note that the lister appeal, the listers decided they didn't need to see the interior, but would give it well conformed at the time. They did not choose to do that. In KRT, the initial refusal, my wife was heading out the door with our son, who was getting in the car. Never heard from them again, so it wasn't that she was refusing as a rule, she just couldn't do it there.
Very well.
Other questions, Lily?
Question for Kevin. When you come across something like a weird driveway, is that classed under a topo adjustment, or do you class it as some other sort of thing?
Yeah, it could be a topo adjustment or an access adjustment. I think I believe this was already on the card from the previous revaluation. So when we're reviewing the property and you see that adjustment's already is on there, and you feel like it's merited, you don't change that. So That's what we left it on there because it was a steep drive.
So there's, three topo adjustments on the property card. One is for site acre, one is for excess SI site, and one is for,
Site.
okay. And one is for acres excess. Does one of those specifically apply to the driveway?
Probably, it would be the primary site. It would
So
be
that's the first one listed?
that's correct, primary site. So whenever you have an access, say, two properties, they have a common driveway, shared drive, or you have a right-of-way access over a parcel, that adjustment is applied to the primary site because that's not typical.
And what's, a normal adjustment for a shared driveway or a right of way over the driveway, that sort of thing?
Generally, it's like 5%. So in this matter, 10% because it was really steep and the adjustment was 10%. So when we field reviewing it, we felt it was warranted.
One of the other complaints in the appellant packet was the standing water around the house. Do you take that into account when you do
I think
these
that was-
evaluations?
Yeah, I think it was addressed with the topo adjustments. Because I think, if it's steep, I think I might have had that. I think I had the hearing with the taxpayer, and I think the issue was, above them. I think they had runoff coming down and pooling around the house. So the topo adjustments are on there. So, I mean, it was already addressed.
If I can respond, the topo adjustments haven't changed throughout the appeal process. If you look at the prior two versions of the lister card from this, when it started out at 822, we still had those -10, and -20. And at the time of the initial KRT figures, they had not seen or been made aware of the water issues. They came out after that and actually saw some of the water issues in progress because it was raining. There haven't been any changes to the topo adjustment throughout these 3 stages.
Do we know if these topo adjustments are the same as they were from the previous appeal in 20 or whenever that was?
I don't know the answer to that question without looking back, but I can tell you that we've had other grievances from property owners in the same area. And, those properties have the same topo adjustments, 10%, and 20%.
Gotcha.
And some of those grievances were also about drainage issues. And so that this is consistent for, dwellings in that area.
And I would say that some of these issues are deferred maintenance issues that eventually you expect they will be fixed because it's better for your property, it's better for our fair market value. So, we try to adjust for more of the natural challenges of a property, but not something that can be repaired and should be repaired with each property and fixing those issues, so.
And just adjusting the area, without knowing what the other properties are. For instance, I see our neighbors had a 10% topo adjustment. Most of their land was open, their driveway, which starts on our properties. It's a very gradual slope. The driveways on our stretch of Beaver Meadow from, Tucker to West. Ours is, with one exception, by far the steepest and longest. There is one on the other side where it's over a mile long. And I think that has an even greater topo adjustment, but, our driveway, other than that, is by far.
Other questions?
Just
Yeah.
coming back to the fact that we didn't do an interior because at the informals, KRT had just done the interior. We did not feel that it was needed to duplicate that, at that time.
The next thing that happens is, 3 of us will come out to your house and do an internal, external inspection. So we'd like to get that scheduled.
Are you available Wednesday, October 1st at 5:15?
Yes, I might not be able to, depending on my court schedule, but as long as my wife is mobile, she will do it. The house is not looking its best at the moment. She had a number of projects going on that
Well,
stopped, so.
You can have laundry hanging from the ceiling, it really doesn't matter, we just have to see what's there. So you all set with that?
Sorry. what was the
October
time?
first, Wednesday, October first at 5:15.
So that happens, some of the listeners may join us on that, if that's okay with you.
My wife may object.
Okay.
Her position is that they have the opportunity to come in at the lister appeal.
Okay, so you need to get back to us and let us know one way or the other.
Okay.
And then what happens is on October 21st at, where we 5:45, we regroup here, we hear the inspection reports, you can have a last chance at input, those are gonna be 15 minutes again. And then we will recess and go into deliberations after that.
Is that a Tuesday?
It is
Yes,
Tuesday.
you're not required to be at that second hearing, you can.
No, I know we would like to, I'm pretty sure it's not an issue.
It's not something we can reschedule, we.
No, our son is, freshman in college out in Minnesota this parents' weekend, but
Oh,
I'm
nice.
pretty sure it's the weekend before, so we would be back in time.
Okay. So that's the 21st at 5:45.
Okay.
And if you can't make it, you can Zoom potentially if we need to.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're starting at 15th and getting back, but.
Gotcha.
As
Okay.
opposed to, leaving on Wednesdays.
Then we are gonna recess until the 21st.
Right.
Thanks, everyone, for being here tonight. Okay. Can I get your email?
Yes. Should park. Yeah. Better.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Believe it or not, that